this gives us an opportunity to enter into week 10 and episode 50. Yes, that's right, 50, half a century of conversations with India's finest minds and best entrepreneurs. As I tell you every week, the purpose and the premise of having this in association with NewsX and Business World is to give the best of India a space in India's mainstream media, and more importantly, in the mind space of all of you watching this telecast. Before we look abroad, we must look within. We're calling it the Atmanirbhar Special Series, and we have with us a brilliant panel joining us on the broadcast this evening. Mr. Mushtaq Chaya, he is chairperson of the PhD Chambers of Commerce based out of Kashmir. We also have Mr. Kushagra Nandan. He is co-founder and president of SunSource Energy. Mr. Udit Pathak, he is director of Media Mantra. And Mr. Abhinav Jain, he is co-founder of AdTechnos and Almond. And of course, as always, Dr. Anurag Batra, chief editor of Business World, joining us. Anurag ji, as always, set up this conversation for us.
Thank you, Rishabh. So, congratulations to NewsX and to Business World for completing the 5th episode of this Atmanirbhar series that NewsX and Business World have done. And we've seen hope, we've seen the resilience of India in the last 50 weeks in the entrepreneurs and the business people that we've been able to converse with on this channel. Let me start today by asking Kushagra Nandan. Kushag, energy is a sector that powers everything, literally. Tell us, what are the changes that have come in your sector in the last 4 months, and what has helped you prepare for the future?
Thank you, Dr. Batra, and thank you, NewsX team. Last 4 months have been definitely challenging across the world, not only for us, but what we saw was government which really stepped up. And the lockdown which happened on March 22nd, the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, which is a nodal ministry for the renewables in the country, they really stepped up the game. They immediately came in and declared this event as a force majeure event. And the Reserve Bank of India declared the moratorium for the interest. So this boosted the investor confidence. And government is also focusing, along with other governments across the globe, if you see, renewables as a core for the growth, because these projects are not only saving the money for the end user, the renewables project, not only solar or wind, but they're also creating the employment opportunities in rural and semi-urban areas. So we are seeing a lot of surge in demand which is coming in, not only from the residential, but industrial commercial activities, industrial commercial hubs, because they can save more energy, which is directly going to the bottom line. So we see a lot of activity now coming up in the sector. And
okay. And I want to ask you, what has been the
as part of the changes are concerned, we have how to work remotely.
But yes, tell us if there's been a direct impact in your case.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We saw the moratoriums coming in because some of our plants were down, not all of them, because the factories were shut down. So the moratorium which came in really helped out, and we were the direct beneficiaries for it, along with our bankers, including State Bank of India and DFID, which helped us out. And we saw the stimulus. We were able to bring and start construction when the unlockdown started. So we are now have employed people in our rural projects which are happening, semi-urban areas where projects are happening. So we are directly, indirectly now employing, even after post-unlockdown, which has started, around almost 500 people. And our projects have restarted the construction, and our majority of the jobs are going in semi-urban and rural areas.
Okay, and Kushag, in terms of demand for energy, again, it's at a peak because we are spending time at homes. But in terms of industrial demand, where are we? Are we at 70%, 80%? And when are we likely to be 100% in terms of the energy demands of the industry?
Sir, we have seen a data about a month ago. I'm not very current with the data on that. But about a month ago, we were already back to the demand, which was already there before the post-lockdown. So this shows the industries have already started their work. The resounding activities which were supported by the government, especially providing the stimulus, has helped to restart the larger manufacturing activities, and the energy guzzler industries have already started. A lot of our clients are already back to normal. So majority of the demand is already back.
Okay, let me go to Abhinav Jain. Abhinav, you run a marketing technology services firm and you built a fairly sizable company in the last 8 years. I am aware that you've used the lockdown to build new products and services. Tell us, what do you do at A Technos and how have you utilized your 4 months?
Sure. I think last 4 months have been transforming for all of our lives. Considering what we have been doing before, I mean pre-COVID, and what we are thinking to do after COVID is two different things. And the companies who were doing the similar stuff before the COVID are now looking forward to the new ways after the COVID. What we have done, we also transform our company in such a way so that we understand what the demand would be. As a marketing technology firm, my aim is to think of what marketing would be right now, today, after tomorrow, and then probably after that. And we have been building platforms for that. Thinking what we launched in April is something called BLab, which is a virtual experience platform. Now we have also in position to launch a virtual events platform that allows people to also just imagine what you
And
can
Rishabh,
experience.
the much talked about AGM of Geo was done on Abhinav's platform. It is
It was
world
on
class
BLab
in the way it
platform.
is. It is world class, It can be anywhere. By the way, he did work in New York and Silicon Valley before he came to India. So the platform they've built, I've seen it, is world class. It's not India class. And India class can be world class. That's the message that Abhinav.
That's what I obviously asked as the next question. Abhinav, why don't you tell us a little bit about your platform and how it works? And when you're talking about a virtual event experience, how do you create it? And then I'll ask you whether it can be monetized for people, especially in the event management space.
Absolutely, that's the opportunity we have. If you consider that most of the companies who are thinking of running events, they are still coming from a physical background. That means they think that the events on the virtual background will be similar to physical, but that's not the thing, right? On digital, every experience is a mouse click or a click on your smartphone or probably entering a code, right? And in the physical, there could be more than that you could do. So these technologies and amalgamation of technology to the experiential space is very interesting. The Vertex platform that we are right now developing allows these amalgamation to be balanced in such a way that whatever the good things of physical are, you can still experience virtually, and whatever the best things of digital are, you can also experience on this platform.
It's the best of both worlds.
It's best of the both worlds, yes.
Okay. So is there a market here for people? I mean, one is meetings, one is conversations, in webinars, the kind like we are sitting in now. And the other is obviously industries that are relying on physical events to take place, which obviously can't. And how do they monetize it? Whether it's concerts, or theater performances or movie performances, and again, going beyond that, how do you monetize it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we launched something called Sangeet Setu, which is also, for the PM Cares Fund, which is where we had 25 crore people watching the concert live on the platform on 40 different broadcasting platforms. Now think of the scale. India has already been, seen the virtualization or digitization of the various experiences. The opportunity for event experiential agencies is also to think how they were running those previous events and how they can utilize these new platforms, which could be, and just to digress a bit in a different note here. Again, I'm saying the physical events were treated differently. There was a different mindset for them. But virtual events, considering every small event like a Zoom call or a WebEx webinar, that's a very basic, which is where as an event company, you may not make too much money. And there are also very customized events, which is like 10% of the events. Then there is a huge opportunity for approximately 85 to 90% of the spend, where you can use these hybrid platforms, which is plug and play, customizable, easy to be used, and quickly wrap up. So that's the view I have, and I believe that a lot of these event agencies many of them are already in touch with us, and we are also working with a couple of brands directly.
Mr. Mushtaq Chhaya, you represent the business and economy in Kashmir. Kashmir is a beautiful place, and Thursday we'll do a special panel on Kashmir because it would complete a year of, the abrogation of the Article 370. But coming to the economy, do you see the green shoots of economy in Kashmir coming back? Is it coming back, or it is still very, very slow back there in Srinagar and Kashmir?
Okay, so far the economy of the total country is concerned, ये कोविड-19 से तो उसको ख़त्म ही हो गया, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है। सारी इंडस्ट्रीज़ पर इसका बहुत ही ज़्यादा असर पड़ा, नुकसान हो गया। ख़ासकर कश्मीर में ज़्यादा जो इंडस्ट्री है दैट इज़ द टूरिज़्म इंडस्ट्री। ये टूरिज़्म इंडस्ट्री तो यहाँ बिल्कुल ही मारे से क्या, मैं आपको जैसा कि आप सबों को पता है 5 अगस्त को जब यहाँ वो 370 का मसला शुरू हो गया, तब से तो यहाँ टोटल ही ख़त्म हो गया है टूरिज़्म। और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से हमें बड़ी उम्मीदें थी कि टूरिज़्म के लिए ख़ास कुछ पैकेज वैकेज निकाल देंगे, मगर इन्होंने कैश फ्लो तो बाकी जगहों पर दे दिया, एमएसएमई को दे दिया, मगर टूरिज़्म का नाम तक इन्होंने नहीं ले लिया। तो जिससे बहुत ही परेशानी है। ख़ासकर मैं जम्मू कश्मीर की बात करूं तो जम्मू कश्मीर तो टूरिज़्म के ही ऊपर ज़्यादा, और जिसमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा एम्प्लॉयमेंट है। यहाँ कम से कम 10 लाख लोग डायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व है जो टूरिज़्म के साथ है। और आज के दिन सारे लोग घरों में दरबदर है। जहाँ तक होटल वालों का, यहाँ के स्टेक होल्डरों का था, उन्होंने जो कर पाए आज तक तो कर दिया, मगर अब वो बेचारे भी कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं, वो खुद फेल हो गए हैं। आई थिंक गवर्नमेंट को चाहे सो फार जम्मू कश्मीर टूरिज्म के लिए कुछ न कुछ मदद करने की जरूरत।
मुश्ताक जी, ये किस तरह की मदद के जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर टूरिज्म इंडस्ट्री के से जुड़े हुए हैं, जिनकी आमदनी नहीं हो रही है, उनके लिए पैकेज आना चाहिए, डायरेक्ट ट्रांसफर होना चाहिए, किस तरह की मदद की बात है?
सर देखिए, जैसा कि आपको पता है जब 5 अगस्त हो गया, यहाँ एक एडवाइजरी गवर्नमेंट ने निकाल दे दी, जबकि हम अपने अपने होटलों में सारे लोग अपनी कमाई थोड़ा बहुत कर रहे थे, तो एकदम निकाल दे दिया। अभी होटलों से निकाल दो, अभी एडवाइजरी निकाल दे दी। गवर्नमेंट शुड थिंक एंड कंसिडर। अब लोगों ने बैंकों से पैसे ले लिए हैं, मीटर तो चालू है, ये तो लोग हमें निकालने पड़े, बिजनेस बंद करना पड़ा, तब से आज तक इंशाल्लाह परसों 1 साल हो जाएगा। तो गवर्नमेंट को ये चीजें देखनी चाहिए, किस तरह ये रिवाइव हो जाए, फिर से ये अपना काम शुरू कर दे। बैंकों के जो इनको चढ़े हैं या जो
ऋषभ पूछ रहे हैं कि सरकार क्या करे, आपको डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर दे, आपके लोन्स पे मॉरिटोरियम करे?
मॉरिटोरियम से बात नहीं बनेगी। बात बनेगी तो पहले नंबर 1 इंटरेस्ट वेवर होना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये मैं मानता हूँ कोविड तो अभी 4 ही महीने हो गए, मगर 1 साल से जो कश्मीर, जम्मू कश्मीर में कहूँगा, विदाउट आवर फॉल्ट जो हम इस वक्त परेशानी में हैं, 1 साल से बिल्कुल हम कहाँ से लाएंगे, वो किस्तें भरेंगे या आप मॉडिटोरियम भी कल आइए दे देंगे, वो कहाँ से हम पूरा करेंगे?
इंटरेस्ट सबवेंशन इज नंबर 1। मुश्ताक जी, और इंडस्ट्री की बात हो रही थी क्योंकि अभी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स चल रहे हैं जम्मू एंड कश्मीर पे। मुझे बताया गया है कि उनमें बढ़ोतरी हो रही है, तेजी हो रही है। सैफरन की चर्चा चल रही है और द अदर बिग एम्प्लॉयर ऑफ कोर्स वाज फ्रूट फार्मिंग। इसमें अभी स्थिति क्या है और इसमें हम क्या कर सकते हैं?
नहीं, देखिए, गवर्नमेंट को एज अ स्पेशल पैकेज फॉर जम्मू एंड कश्मीर आना ही था, सो स्पेशली फॉर कश्मीर, सो फॉर हमार इंडस्ट्री इज कंसर्न। ये बिल्कुल लॉकडाउन में, ये तो 4 महीने से तो हम कोविड में हैं, बट वर्चुअली हम 1 साल से लॉकडाउन में हैं। 4 अगस्त से ता आज तक टोटल 100% लॉकडाउन, एक दिन भी हमारा नहीं खुला।
पहले जो स्पेशल पैकेज हर साल निकलते हैं सेंट्रल से, उनको हम फर्दर इम्प्रूव कैसे करें, क्योंकि स्पेशल पैकेज ऑफ एड फ्रॉम सेंटर तो हर साल आता है।
नहीं, हम तो यही उम्मीद रखते हैं। देखिए, उम्मीदों पर ही दुनिया है। जब ये 370 का हो गया, हमने भी सोचा चलिए अब यहाँ शहद की नदियाँ, दूध की नदियाँ तो हम नहीं चाहते हैं, मगर कुछ ना कुछ तो यहाँ होना चाहिए ताकि लोग फिर खड़ा होकर अपनी मजदूरी करे, अपना काम करे, यहाँ के स्टेक होल्डर्स बचे, यहाँ के लोग बच जाए, वही गवर्नमेंट को करना चाहिए।
Okay, Mushtaq Saab, we will talk to you Thursday again when we have other leaders of the Jammu and Kashmir economy participating in a special discussion with NewsX. Udit, you work with a very diverse set of clients on advising them on their communication.
Yeah.
What is the sense that you get from them? Are your clients on pause or they've started to unlock, so to say?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Batra, you and NewsX team for inviting me on the panel. I think things have changed. You know, if you would have asked me this question probably in March, the sentiments would have been altogether negative. because brands were coming back to us and saying that they need to halt. But things have changed after that. Ever since the lockdown has been lifted and the government is partially lifting everything, I think brands have realized one thing, that communication is very, very important to them, right? Because ultimately, they still have to run their business and they still need to reach to their target audience. And how will they reach is by communicating with them, right? So communication has taken the center stage, and positive sentiments have built up. Brands are innovating. They are innovating and coming out with different products because they realize that this is a time to innovate and also learn a lot of new things. Look at us. We are today sitting and having a live panel via Zoom. Normal circumstances, I would have had an OB man at my place and doing this panel, right? So things have shifted. AGM of Reliance happening virtually. Nobody would have imagined that probably 5 months back, right? This is an opportunity. And as Abhinav, our panelist, was also saying, that they have done some brilliant job in terms of innovating the products. And that's what, as entrepreneurs, we all have to think, right? I know these are tough times.
Innovation, is it still in the trial and error phase, or have we been through 4 months of innovation and now your clients and brands know what is working and what was not working?
I think brands are very smart. They have got good talent, and they were innovating not because they were innovating before the lockdown itself, right? You look at different startups who have become unicorns today of our country. Look at Paytms of the world or any other brand today, right? They were innovating and coming out with different technology and building it up. So this lockdown, what has happened is people have started innovating. If they were innovating X level, they are doing it X+1 now, because they know that people are sitting and they want newer and newer technologies and products, and that's what they're doing. So I think this is the time to innovate and learn, and there is definitely a lot of positive sentiments. I'm not saying that we are in a very hunky-dory phase right now. Things are difficult, but as compared to March, today we still know that there are things which are happening, and we can still go back to the brands and say that this is what you need to do to solve your business objective.
Okay, I know that. How tough was, I'm assuming that you downsized your operation like every communication agency.
Yeah.
Did you downsize your number of people? Did you bring down the headcount? And how tough it was? When you're working with people and suddenly, for no fault of theirs, they kind of get the burnt of the environment. How tough it was to let go of people?
Yeah, so Dr. Batra, one thing which we did was, and I think as entrepreneurs, we realized that, downsizing is not something which we should do. What we should do is we should restructure our organization. So having said that, every organization today has a lot of fluff costs which we all bear, which we know that it is just happening, right, every month. So we realized, we sat together, we came out with a solution that we will let go at least 2 offices. So we let go our physical office in Mumbai. We realized that Mumbai is not coming to normal for at least 1 year. So virtually we are doing, and also, coming down on the rentals. So what we did was we extracted money from that and we put that back in the system in employee welfare. So that's something which we have done as a communication firm. We haven't downsized. We did restructuring, which we have still did, which we have done to make sure that we have the employability there.
And when you talk to entrepreneurs who build businesses, people like Kushag, people like Abhinav, what is the sentiment you're getting about the future? Be real about it. Are they very optimistic, or they're waiting and watching, or they're pessimistic? What is the sentiment you're getting from them?
So I think Kushag, I met him 1 year back, I think, in his Noida office, and he was bullish about what he's going to build and what is he going to do. And today I see him all over the news and all over. So I think he's bullish, and it's not only about Kushag. I think it depends on what industries you are catering to, right? If I today go back to a hotel industry guy and ask them, F&B guy, they are not at all bullish. They know that the things will take time, and they know, so, right? But if I'm going to a startup who has different, who is innovating and coming out with different
solutions, and is funded.
And is funded. That's right. They know that, and they know that this is the time to be stable. Don't do a lot of experiment, because this is not the time to just go all out. Be very, very, you have to be very cautious about what you are doing, right? Cautious about spending as well. So brand wise, the sentiments have turned, but I will not say they're 100% positive. they are better than what they were in March. They are plus 60, plus 70%.
You have a pointed question for Kushag and a pointed question for Abhinav. Abhinav, we in the next 2 months find a vaccine and people's fear of going out goes away. We all start traveling. Then do you think people will still utilize an online platform in events, or they'd rather like the experience of physically meeting, having face-to-face conversations? And my question to you, Kushag, over our shows on NewsX also, there's been a debate about the laborer, about the workforce that is at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, do you see them returning back soon, or do you think it will only happen beyond Chhath? These two specifics. First to Abhinav and then to Kushag. Abhinav, you'll have to unmute yourself.
I want to start with a quote of my favorite Thomas Edison. He once said, the value of an idea lies in the using of it, right? But usage comes with an habit. What happens is there is a massive TED Talk and multiple, searches happen in various industries and companies and universities, that it takes only 21 days for you to build a habit, and then it takes 21 years to forget that habit, right? What we have done in the last 3.5, 4 months, we have built this habit of interacting with each other. You're 100% right where you said that, physical distancing and all those sort of things, we are just getting, what you call, like, I'm getting, just restless to go out and meet people. But at the same time, we are also considering that just 2 months, it might not be easy. Yeah, probably after that, slowly, we will open up. But as I've taken a habit of interacting with my family, instead of going to meet them, in Gwalior, I just call them every day. We have also chosen convenience on top of these things.
Sure.
So what would happen is,
it may stay because it has benefits of bringing both worlds together. It may stay. It also has cost benefits.
Yeah.
So there is a, you save on the hotel, you save on the flights, you save on lots of things, liquor, hospitality or food.
Dr. Batra, I'll give you an example. I have a client who used to organize a massive virtual, expos around the globe, every other continent, every other month. And now he's saying that he organized one virtual expo, one virtual event. And he's saying that he has spent only 30% of the overall money that he used to spend.
So there's efficiency in this. But it's not good for the economy. There is no hotel being used, there's no flight. It's not good for the economy.
It's not good for the economy, but there might be, innovation will come in picture. People will end up spending money another way.
What is possible? What is possible for the digital medium, online forums to replace, and what's not possible? What will have to come back, and what can actually remain like this?
So, yeah, I mean, see, one thing that we have always undermined is the power of engagement. It used to be physical engagement, now it's going to be a digital engagement. We have to find that digital engagement, and as soon as someone cracks that bell, it is going to be a huge market. Again, economy will not be impacted on a longer run because people start putting money in that sense in other areas of spendings as well.
Okay, Zoom parties are the future. Mr. Nandan, take that, then we have to take a quick break. Mr. Nandan.
So what we are experiencing is the migration of labor happened in 2 phases majorly. Phase of people who have reached their hometowns or villages are starting to come back, and the second wave will probably come post Chhath or maybe before that. But what has happened is, because government has really pushed for schemes which have benefited the end consumer, or for lack of better words, we are seeing there is some resistance for the laborers to come back, but they are starting to come back. But luckily, our projects happens to be in major industrial clusters, which are mostly nearer to rural areas or semi-urban areas. So we are finding that the availability of labor is becoming not a bigger challenge at this point. And we are also seeing, because we directly work with a lot of major industries across India, because we have assets almost in 24 states now. So we are seeing that majority of these industries are back, and most of them are heavy labor-intensive industry. So we are seeing the labors are starting to come back. It's not 100% yet, but will take a little bit more time. but activities are happening at a much closer pace as what it was post lockdown.
Okay. We've been having a fascinating conversation, not only about new technologies, new ways, and new habits that have been developing, but whether the Indian economy requires a dipstick test, and there can be no better dipstick test than those entrepreneurs that are actually engaged in the business and are dealing with B2B clients and know exactly what's happening on the ground. Anurag, at a particular point of time, one is the success of the economy in total, understanding that the traditional, in certain areas, the traditional aspect of the economy is going to dramatically change over the next 6 months. The second is to have Indian companies be the forerunners in what is the biggest market in the world, not in terms of GDP size, but in terms of sheer consumer base, which is right here, and then go abroad. How do we get that going?
I think you have to look at it from three dimensions. One is Indian product services made for India. Second is Indian products and services made for the world. And then, dare I say, Indian made products, but only for the world. So I think you have to kind of segregate. And you take it in technology, you take it in services domain. You see there are companies that are in the first or second are doing well. The reason I say that is because they already have a huge market for what they in India. They've tested their product and service in India. And some of the customers, which are global companies, have used them in India and have recommended them to their global headquarters or other parts of the world. So, for example, Abhinav's company is very active in Africa. I mean, they have a fairly large, sizable business growing in Africa. But they made their mark in India. The product that they made, because of Abhinav's background of being a CTO of a leading company in New York, he's made a product that's world class. And Rishabh, I'll show it to you. When Newsex does a conference, possibly you should use his product.
Why not?
It is truly world class.
And host it on his platform. And it's a great idea. That will help showcase the platform also. But Abhinav, let me pick on that. When you guys are ideating, are you saying that, look, the Indian market is big enough for us, and let's focus there. And, if we just nail the Indian market 5-10 years from now, we'll automatically be one of the biggest players in our domain. Or that, no, the Indian market ain't big enough right now. And we need to be looking globally, and we need to become the go-to company for doing this across the world.
I come from a digital and technology background, so my perception is slightly different. Okay. Digital and technology allows the product to go beyond barriers, beyond borders, beyond time zones, right? How do you use that potential of the technology to go and scale quickly is the power of digital, right? So my point here is that when we build a product or ideate a product, because I have a direct consumer next to me, I would always start from there, because if it gets invoiced, I will immediately get cash and salaries of my people will get paid. But at the same time, that's the same solution that can go to other developing countries. Why Dr. Batra said about Africa, because we have started the same operation in Africa as well. Considering the challenges that we have faced last year or during this, they are also facing the similar challenges out there.
Okay.
And because it's technology, it's just shippable over cloud.
But
I don't have to think of.
We've seen so many of these models, and it's frustrating, I'm sure, to you as entrepreneurs, and for the rest of us, and me certainly sitting here, trying to encourage this process, is that when you guys are sitting in San Francisco, and we have a group of Indians who run some of these big companies, come up with a product, these become the universalized products. The Instagrams, the Facebooks, the WhatsApps, the Zooms become the universalized products. So you're offering a B2B model, I'm assuming. But in terms of just sheer consumer scale, how do we get to that globally the people say that, okay, here's an Indian app that is the best in the world?
See, it will take some time. The one reason is that it's because of the mindset. We always thought that Indians are doers. I am also saying that Indians are the creators now, because we are creating in those big companies. You take name of any big companies in Santa Clara, SFO and all, where I lived for many years. 30%, 40% of the people are Indian. They are working, they're doing day in and day out. And that's one of the core reasons why I came back after spending 8-9 years in the US, and I came back and we started something totally different, because I believe that I was doing the same thing there, but I was not considering if I'll go back to India, if I'd be able to get the same output. when I came back, it's changed my perception that here we have the
that
similar
has bona
potential.
fide close family in Palo Alto, live next door to Mark Zuckerberg. But the logic of this is that exactly the point that you made. Now, what was the problems to scaling success? I see a lot of Indian entrepreneurs who even start in India, but 5 years later want to be headquartered out of Singapore because they think it's too complicated to work here.
Before
how do we get past that? Yeah.
There are two things.
Get your point, then I'll ask Abhinav to answer.
Rishabh, Kushal, I've never met him, but let me tell you how I got to know about Kushal. We do a 40 under 40, and there I say it's the quality of entries. This year was, I sat on 2nd October to clear entries. We got almost 300 entries. I have to put 80 to the jury. We couldn't finish it in a day because we spent 30 minutes on every entry. And I was looking, I discovered 40 new entries. Companies, I eventually shortlisted 123 companies instead of 80 because I couldn't. And I came across Kushal and I called experts in the solar sector to inquire about his company. I don't want to tell you names, I'll tell you. Point is, what he's doing is world class. The scale. I think the biggest problem that Indian entrepreneurs have two. One is they don't think scale. Most. I'm not talking of anybody on this panel. Second is there is a cost of capital issue, which is there in India. I think if these two, and there I want to make a statement on our show. In India, most Indian entrepreneurs think of being rich. They don't think of being wealthy. There is a huge difference between being rich and wealthy. Owning a house in Defcol or Golf Links or Sundarnagar may make you rich. It may not make you wealthy. Whereas an entrepreneur who may raise $500 million in San Francisco, his lifestyle won't change. He won't spend. He's dreaming, he or she is dreaming big to build something big of impact.
That's a very
if an Indian entrepreneur gets some money, first he buys a house in Golf Links. No reference to any particular entrepreneur.
Okay, or anybody living in Golf Links.
Yeah, but there is, but I'm just saying,
I might know a few.
we think
Let's finish that thought. You know what? I mean, we were told bureaucratic. I mean, even bank hurdles, taxation hurdles. We are being told right now we're in the middle of those reforms. So, at what point of time, entrepreneurs used to earlier tell me about this 100 employee issue. That after 100 employees, they didn't want to be based out of India. Singapore was easier. You could send those same employees to work out of Singapore or something nearby. So, how do we get past that hurdle? Before I get in, Mr. Nandan.
There are two issues. Okay, why a lot of people go to Singapore? It's because of saving taxes. You end up creating a company out there, you pass on all the money there, and then it's all saved taxes, which is a different thing. My point is that sometimes they don't believe in their own things, that India can still produce better results than hosting company anywhere else in the world. We have offices outside India as well as we have similar kind of people working here as well as working there. My point is that first thing that you need to think is that are you innovating or putting efforts in your product? Are you confident about your product? If you're confident about your product, no territory will make any difference, no country will make any difference, no people will make any difference.
Let's put the same question to Mr. Nandan. Mr. Nandan now, he's working in a sphere that is scalable internationally much more easier. In your thought process, how are you guys thinking? Is the strategic planning that, look, with the government push that has been put into solar, that the Indian market itself is so huge, that if we simply become the number one company in India or in the top three, we'll automatically be one of the top three in the world? Or is it about seeking global opportunities as well and taking on global companies?
So let me actually, like Abhinav, I and my partner spent almost a decade in the US market in the solar sector and we studied in the solar sector before it became fancy. So, and gained, as Abhinav also mentioned, that I was leading one of the top management team in that company, and I left. It was Inc.'s fastest 500, we were number 51. But then we decided to move back to India, and we realized that opportunity in India is going to be huge, and we will bring global best practices here. And over last a decade of being forming SunSource here, so we expanded now to almost 6 countries. So we have operations out of Southeast Asia. We have projects in Philippines, Thailand, Singapore. We have completed few projects in Africa. We're looking at Middle East. So the back end is here in India because the back end is very strong. We are going very strong in India because what India gives you scale, and that same scale and processes, then you can bring it to other countries and export the same aspects on the scale and processes to other countries.
When you said global best practices, now what is the global best practice that is missing out of India? Because we are still talking about reform and labor reform and land reform and ease of doing business reform, and we are still talking about this one window clearance. What is global best practice in terms of you guys thinking of?
See, what I can tell about is, for example, when I moved back from India to from US to India, and I applied for a car loan, and I was denied, because, and even opening a bank account was very difficult. And because I had US returns, I didn't have the Indian returns, IT returns. So, but over the time, what has happened is now your company starting has become within 30 days, you can be fully operational. Your bank accounts are, you can really very fast, you can open up your bank account. So over last few years, what has happened is there has been a 360 revolution which has happened. And in terms of processes which government has supported, and in terms of internally also, what we have done is we have built up our very strong ERP, for example, on whole, right from sales cycle to supply chain management to design engineering to project management, and the same strong, and we have 20,000 SKUs in that. So now, earlier, before that, I had that strong ERP in place. I had to basically, very difficult to find what has happened in certain project, if there has been a right quantity has been supplied or not. Now it's just on fingertips. So those aspects and those processes.
I want to come back and ask you on the other point that Anuragji pointed out, was cost of capital in India is almost 13, 14, 15% still. And the other issue of whether Indian entrepreneurs are building to sell or building to buy. That's another interesting question. But let's get Mr. Chhaya back into this conversation. Mr. Chhaya, we talked about the existing problems. Problems in terms of tourism, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of traditional raw materials, saffron, apples, and the boost that is required. But in terms of innovation in new age technologies, to get the Abhinavs and the Mr. Nandans of the world investing heavily in Kashmir and get a private sector involvement, how do we take that forward, sir?
Sir.
Haan ji, Chhaya ji. Yeah, to get private sector involvement, Chhaya ji, के new age technologies की investment JNK में हो, इसको आगे कैसे लेके जाए?
And दूसरा मैं एक क्वेश्चन और पूछना चाहूंगा ऋषभ कि देखिए, जैसे आप when we talk of almonds, and we're not talking of product, Abhinav, we're talking almonds. So America has branded everything. It has branded apples, it has branded everything. All the producers have come together और उन्होंने वो brand बनाया. तो क्या हम कश्मीर तो बहुत अच्छा प्रोड्यूस करता है?
Yes, why not? जो भी टेक्नोलॉजी होगी, जिससे हमारी फ्रूट इंडस्ट्री, हॉर्टिकल्चर, बाकी जितने भी हमारी इंडस्ट्री उसको हो जाए बाज़ाब्ता टेक्नोलॉजी में, बहुत अच्छी बात है. We'll welcome that. Every Kashmiri will welcome that.
So I'll give you an example. I think geotagging of saffron, the geotagging of saffron, of Kashmiri saffron, has happened, I think, just in the past few days. I remember having this debate when the Rasgulla geotagging we were debating. The French are very good. The French have, when it comes to cheeses, champagne, other products, वो geotagging करते हैं बड़ी अच्छी तरह. Kashmiri saffron is known to be the best in the world. Yet 90% global market share is with Iranian saffron.
Yes,
तो इसको जो product, जो made in Kashmir product है, made in Jammu and Kashmir product है, made in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh product है, इसकी space हम as a high quality product कैसे करें?
नहीं, हम भी इसमें टेक्नोलॉजी जो भी पैकिंग जो बाहर करते हैं उस हिसाब से हम भी करेंगे. व्हाई नॉट? गवर्नमेंट भी हमें उसके साथ वाबस्ता रहे, इंडस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट भी करे, साथ दे दे, ग्लोवरों को साथ दे दे. डेफिनेटली वी विल डू दैट बिकॉज दैट इज इन आवर इंटरेस्ट. हमारा ब्रांड कश्मीर का जो सैफरान है, ये जिस तरह आपने खुद ही कहा, नंबर 1 है. इसका ब्रांडिंग होनी चाहिए, जरूरत है इन चीजों की, और हम अब करने के लिए तैयार हैं.
Okay, just a dipstick test. Since we are on this conversation, we'll have a more detailed one on Thursday. But Udit, why don't you come into this? There was a lot of buzz exactly 1 year ago, right? That you're having a Kashmiri economy literally being integrated in multiple dimensions, and the first load bearing had to be done by government, right? I mean, the infrastructure projects, and then in the middle we've gotten stuck in this pandemic. But is there a buzz that still exists that look, hey, J&K is an opportunity. Both, you can buy almonds coming out. The Americans invest heavily into propagating, their almonds, walnuts with their trade boards here in India because they see the big market. Is there a buzz happening in Indian industry still about J&K opening up?
तो why not? Why not? बहुत अच्छी बात है. यहाँ बहुत अच्छी बात है. We'll welcome.
Okay, Udit, why don't you take that? Is the buzz still happening?
I think already Mr. Chaya has talked about it. The biggest challenge. I think the problem is this pandemic right now, right? You're specifically talking about the buzz. It was there probably a year back, but it is not there right now. If you actually talk to Mr. Nandan or Abhinav as well, right? As you were saying, they don't want to talk about Jammu Kashmir right now. What they wanted, because there are bigger problems to solve, right? For their businesses and to innovate. So I think government has to come up. Government has to talk the way they have spoken about Atmanirbhar Bharat, the way they have spoken about giving stimulus packages to SMEs. They have to do the similar things for Jammu and Kashmir as well, right? They need to talk about it.
I hosted a panel of young Kashmiri entrepreneurs last year, who run businesses like gyms and salons, and I'm getting them back this year. Tomorrow to talk to them. But Abhinav, I'll give you a small example, a very good example of a lot of people working together on, for example, the Arogya Setu app. Now, I think I interviewed people from Make My Trip, Google, Microsoft, all of them came together to solve a problem. And they came up with an elegant solution that I promise you, for people watching out there, it works. We had a colleague of ours who tested positive. I immediately got a message. And when I was tested and tested negative, I immediately got a message that you are now safe. So there's something behind it that is actually working. Now, taking on this challenge of starting with the people, of human resource and getting entrepreneurial spirit going on, how do we take this on?
Very important. It's very important point that you have asked. And I was just telling, because where Kushagra said that the best practices of the global world, it's believing in your product. Okay, you alone cannot do that. Okay, and you need a team to make sure that it happens. They follow what your vision is. They also align themselves with your vision. That's where the difference is. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that yes, you will face challenges. Yes, government might not support the idea that you have. Yet another, there are hundreds of app innovation challenge in the country. There are hundreds of VCs and forums which are willing to invest in your product. What happens is we always think about one small thing, that what would not work, right? The idea here should be, can you find out 100 things that you will still say, yes, this will work. Yes, this will work. Yes, this will work. Every time I interviewed, when we were a small company, and Apurv, who is my co-founder as well as younger brother, we interviewed hundreds of candidates when we had a 10-seater office, based out of Bangalore. They used to ask, okay, what's your good product? Okay, I think that there is a similar product in the market and it might not work. Okay, great. I got my answer that you don't believe in the product. I'm sorry, this is not the team that you should be part of. All the 6 people who joined on the day one are still my key people in the team, and they are the go-to people in the team. They own all the things that I do. My point is, in order to build the team, you need to first believe in your product, in your services, and then you find the team to make it happen.
Kushagra, take the same thought on getting this entrepreneurial spirit going on. Hopefully this pandemic will ease out. I'm not saying it'll end, but it'll ease out in the next 2-3 months. Kushagra Nandan, taking on a conversation that we were having last year, but for the last 6 months, obviously have not been able to have on Jammu and Kashmir.
So I think as long as the policies are very clear, right, and government is now trying since last 1 year to ensure the policies in Jammu Kashmir are at par at the remaining India, or basically across India, and similar to electricity policies or other policies, I don't see any other reason why investors will not come in and invest like us. Because at the end of the day, the state lacks capital. And if the policies are set right, as it's starting to happen in last 1 year, investment will definitely flow.
Okay. And I'm hoping that your mind space looks for entrepreneurial opportunities there as well. We are desperately out of time. I've been told repeatedly to take a break. So Anurag ji, I'm going to do the rapid fire on your behalf. Udit, why don't you begin with you? 3 months from now, do you see the Indian economy in a better shape, worse shape, or just Diwali time will be the same?
Better shape. But saying that, there is going to be one bigger challenge which we are going to face in the next, I think, from 45 days from now. That is, once the moratorium is over,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of NPAs.
The shop of bad loans. Okay, good point made. Abhinav Jain, better shape 3 months from now, worse shape, or just the same?
We'll be the same. We'll be the same.
Okay.
The reason being because we have developed the habits and we will continue to inculcate them into our daily days.
Okay, Mr. Nandan, are you hopeful that 3 months we see a quick uptake, we sort of remain the same, or are there still more challenges we haven't factored in?
See, the July GST data is just out, which is 86% of last year's July collection. So, which is a very, very positive indicator. And if we get the same results in August and September, then we are on the way to a V-shaped recovery. And seeing since this last June and July, last 2 months, all our industries which we partner with are fully functional. So from the ground level where we work, we see a very, very positive outlook.
It's happening. Mr. Chhaya, same thought to you. I'll leave the last with the Anurag. Better shape 3 months के 3 महीने में स्थिति बढ़ोतरी की तरफ तेज रफ्तार से भाग रही होगी या ऐसे ही होगी थोड़ी धीमी?
मेरे हिसाब से अल्लाह ठीक करना चाहे, अदरवाइज तो दिन ब दिन तो खराब ही हो रहा है.
Okay.
मुझे नहीं लग रहा है 3 महीने तक कुछ होने वाला है until vaccine does not come.
Okay, let's come back and have that conversation, and it'll have to be a deeper one. We'll have it on Thursday once again. So, Anurag, quick last thought.
July has been better than what everyone expected, but we'll still have to wait and watch how August and September are. My think is that Diwali will see a temporary blip up. We will improve in certain product categories, but overall it may take 6 months or to 12 months for the economy to come back.
Okay. 50 episodes, 50 hours of conversations with more than 200 entrepreneurs over the course of the past 10 weeks. We haven't stopped here. We're not stopping here. We take a break. Thank you all for joining us on this telecast. It was great having conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.